Pirates fight for Old Southwestern, for alma mater dear. Pirates fight for Old Southwestern. To Southwestern will be loyal to the sun from the sky. And remember to the end that a fight will never die. Pirates fight, yeah we win, ayy. Pirates fight, to the end, whoa. Pirates fight, yeah we win, ayy. Pirates fight, yeah, to the end, whoa, to the end.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to SU Football Weekly here on the Vype Live Network. My name is Merle Bertrand, joined once again by Coach Joe Austin. Got a weird echo on my headset, Jack, just to let you know. Just
Me
to give
too.
you a heads up. Yeah. Coming up tonight on the show, we'll hear from sophomore defensive tackle Jay. Before we get into including Antioch Georgetown, Baylor Scott and White Healthcare, Chappelle Realty Group, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, Don Hewlett Buick and Chevrolet, Double Dave's Pizza, Eagles Wings Home Improvement Services, First Texas Bank, and Gary Brown CPA. Well, Coach Joe Austin joining us here tonight. Thank you for everybody for coming out. And Coach, we could have spent an entire show last week just talking about the game out in CLU. I think we could probably do a real short show tonight in about 5 seconds. You talked to Chuck Gracie about it in the post-game show. Turnovers, penalties, just Pirate mistakes. Have you ever seen anything like that? Or have you seen anything since you watched the film that's made you change your mind?
No, a lot of mistakes. The turnovers clearly stick out. 4 blown coverage for 4 long pass plays stick out. And then there's lots of things that maybe you don't see from the stands that also added up. So it was a very inaccurate game. We have to be more accurate with what we're doing as a football team and how we play and coach and execute. And that was a story. We didn't play winning football. We didn't give ourselves a chance. And the turnovers by itself took care of that. And then we did enough other things to compound it to where we just, from the start, we just didn't do things well enough to be in that football game.
Well, coaches like to talk about fixable mistakes. Is the stuff that you saw still fixable? It's not like you got overwhelmed by a far superior opponent. I'm guessing it was all fixable stuff.
Oh, it's certainly fixable. Mm-hmm. Every single thing was fixable. TLU's okay. Don't get me wrong; they're not bad. But I bet if you play them 10 times, that's not the score 10 times.
Sure.
They're going to win a few, and we're going to win a few. But last night, the only one that counts, they were way more accurate than us. Their offense, especially their quarterback, is very efficient. He did a really good job, and they were better. But, yeah, to your point, everything that hurt us is fixable. Everything was preventable, and so we can definitely make a lot of improvements this week and moving forward.
Well, we talk about the turnovers. Not all turnovers are created equal. I mean, the ones that you guys had, unfortunately, on Saturday night had some style points. They just came at really awful times and resulted in really catastrophic stuff. Fumbling, literally going in for a touchdown and fumbling through the end zone, fumbling a kickoff return that's recovered at the 5, that kind of stuff. It just it seemed like, just watching the game, that because of where and when they happened, you weren't able to get into doing what you wanted to do because you're always kind of on your heels against the turnovers. Is that sort of a fair assessment? That
is a fair assessment. And we put our defense out there a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Our conditioning is good, but we kept, in the first half, we kept putting them out there and putting them out there and putting them out there. And that's a rough thing to do to your defense, which takes its toll as you go through the game in the second half. They had to be out there way too much. And you're right. Every now and then, a turnover where they take the ball at the 30-yard line on the opposite 30. They have 70 yards to go. You don't like it, but maybe those are a little bit more survivable. Everything that we did took a score off the scoreboard for us or put them in a great position to score themselves. And those are things that a football team can't do and have a chance to win.
Well, we do have the highlights and some lowlights mixed in there. You haven't had a chance to look at these yet, but I'm sure you're pretty familiar and you'll recognize it instantly. So let's queue up and take a look at what happened on Saturday night's ball game, 39-7 TLU over Southwestern, and I'll let you take it away.
Oh, am I commentating again?
Yeah, I assume
okay.
So. I don't have notes prepared.
Do I have to? Okay. I thought we were going to hear Merle talk about it. Well, if I'd known I was commentating, I'd have been more prepared. All right, first drive, 4th down. They got some first downs. We had some really good pressure on the quarterback, forced the incompletion, and that's a hold by the defense, which is really good. Second drive now, I think after a turnover, unfortunately. No, we punted this one. Blown coverage. We gave them 4 really long pass plays in blown coverages. And on all those drives, I think, maybe except this one, they resulted in a score. Fourth down, we stopped them again. So we did escape that one. We had the blown coverage. But Aiden O'Connell with the nice tackle there on fourth down. We did a good job spilling the ball to the edge. And Aiden kind of redeems after blowing the coverage. And when I say blown coverage, I mean we just let a guy go where we were supposed to be. First offensive interception. In my opinion, our eye focus with our quarterback wasn't where it was supposed to be. We looked the wrong direction and threw it to the. Then we came back too late for that short pass play, but it could have been caught by Don McDowell, our tight end. And they get down on the short field, and this one turns into points. So after 2 fourth down stops, the turnover turns into a touchdown, and a first quarter 7-0 lead for Texas Lutheran. Their quarterback is a really efficient player, Seth Cosme, and so when you give them chances, they're really good at nickel and diming and just taking what they give you, you give them. Then we come right back, and Sam LeBleu is first of 3 fumble turnovers, and the defense, after having 2 longer drives, they have to make fourth down stops. They were just out there to defend the short field. Now they've got to go out again and defend from the 12-yard line. They only need 1 first down to score. And we had a defensive end mistake. We're not supposed to take the dive. We're supposed to play the quarterback. We play the dive instead, and the quarterback runs for a touchdown. So that's an assignment error that directly led to a touchdown by our defensive line. Back on offense, we should have thrown this ball in an earlier window. We held it till a second window, and that causes the deflection interception. And our defense is back on the field again with a short field. And so this is a hole that we're digging ourselves pretty darn early.
And as Chuck Tracy confirmed, it was miserable down there on the field.
So according to plan, of course, Jalen Spriggs got his chance to come in and immediately started moving the ball just like he did in the first game. Really nice play action. Take the run up the middle, hit the quick seam pass. That was the same play action we had thrown an interception on before. We did a little bit better on this one. Now Jalen on the run for the first down, a nice 15-yard gain or so. And this is early in the second quarter. We've got the ball moving again. Jalen again on play action, finding Sam Johnson, our freshman H-back, up the middle for a 20-yard gain, all the way down to the 5-yard line, where unfortunately they covered our number 1 and our number 2 receiver to stop running. And that turned into an interception. So that was a complex problem. Both of our 2 freshmen there, Graydon Thompson at receiver and Jalen Spriggs, could have done something different. And our first red zone opportunity, a chance to cut into the lead, goes by the wayside. That's another blown coverage where we just ran out of the way, gave them a gift. There we lost our assignments on the option play. Nice play by them, but we had that all accounted for, and we didn't get taken care of. This is getting later in the second quarter now. And again, our defense has been out there for quite a bit of time already at this point. And as I said, they're a small gain offense. They're 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, and they're really good at moving the chains. They're really efficient in their pass game. And this just starts to wear the defense down over the course of the game. We forced, I believe, a missed field goal on that one. Jalen back out, and he underthrows this one. So now we've got, in the first half now, 4 interceptions, 2 by each quarterback, and all of them have given the TLU offense the ball deep in our end of the field.
They don't need that kind of help.
No, they're pretty efficient. Now, luckily, they had some penalties that knocked themselves back. That was a nice play. They called a good play against our coverage. They kind of guessed right, and they had it. So that's a chunk play that you have to tip your hat to them on. Later in this drive, a good play by Seth, their quarterback, buying time and finding a receiver down the sideline. He's a very efficient quarterback, good player. Glad he's a senior. He's had a couple good games against us.
They're real good at getting rid of the football quick, too.
They are.
Let the pressure get to you.
So here, as you can see, there's no one in the middle. That is an assignment error. So that's another assignment error that directly led to the touchdown. You hate to say you're getting out of the way, but we're getting out of the way. Second half now, Damian back at quarterback, a nice run on the option for the first down. We actually had a blocking error, and Damian did a good job to make a nice gain out of that. This is moving the football the best that Damian had done, better than the first half. That was fourth down. We got some pressure, had to hit our check down route, which would have been right by the first down, but unfortunately we dropped it. It would have been close. Hopefully, maybe we could have pushed that route deeper and given ourselves a chance. Force a punt, and it goes over their head. And what we didn't do last week was tackle the punter.
Right.
We let CLU's punter get out and punt it away. This time, Ethan Mills, who missed him last week, got him this week, and I made sure to tell him, hey, you got him this week. Ethan, good job. First and goal now. Really nice run by Coleman Robertson. Makes a man miss, makes two men miss, and takes it into the end zone. So midway through the third, we've now cut into the lead. Trying to get some momentum going. A really nice catch and run by Coleman. Good throw by Damian. So we got the ball, first and goal, and we finished it off. That's a really good sign. Another nice play by TLU off of play action. You kind of got to tip your hat to them. They're going to get a few of those through the game. The problems are the ones where we should have players there and we don't take care of it. Those are the ones that we can fix. Teams are going to call good plays. They're going to scout you, and they're going to have some things that work. We just have to fix the situations where we're getting out of the way. This is another blown coverage. Aiden O'Connell, our corner over there, should have been sitting right underneath that, but he was running up to the line of scrimmage. That's another chunk play created. Created by a blown assignment. And we have a chance to tackle Seth there at the goal line. Micah Justice doesn't get him, and he's in. He's a good football player, but when you're inside the 5-yard line, you're counting on those tackles to be made, and we can fix that. Just the way the game was going at this point, we're right there. They run a trick play for a 2-point conversion. Ala Gomez is just there. Their quarterback just got one step on him. Assignment-wise, we were right where we wanted to be.
Right.
We were just one step short, and they beat us to the pylon. That one extra point didn't really make a difference in the game. Damien did a really nice job on some scrambles and runs. That's a good 15-yard scramble. Going through his read progression, then pulling it down. Nice run here by Sam LeBleu, getting it to the outside. Picks up a block downfield by Adrian Garza. Good 15-yard run. We're getting late in the third period. Pretty soon we're going to see the field flipped. Here we go. So we're now right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. In fact, this might have been the first play of the fourth quarter.
I think it was. Looking
to cut the game to 28-14, and that is as close to a touchdown as you can be without it being called a touchdown.
Yeah.
Both film, without a pylon cam, there's nothing you can do, right? Without a pylon cam. But there's a still photo that Ken Ralph, our AD, says he saw where the ball's across the line.
Wow.
So I don't know. You can't tell from film. I mean, it is so close.
Yeah.
But the moral of the story on that play is you have to finish the run. You have to keep the ball tucked, and you have to get it in the end zone. And it's 28-14, and we've scored the last 14.
Right.
And the momentum now goes our way. So they go 80 yards right after that and score again. We blow our fourth coverage of the game. Now they're first and goal. We let a guy run right by us. And this is the one, the drive that's going to probably put it out of reach for us. We're going to hold them to a field goal, which we're probably going to see. Maybe if not, I'll be able to tell you that we did hold them to a field goal.
Right.
But that was kind of the backbreaker when they got those two scores after we almost had the game cut to a 2-score game. And then, unfortunately for Sam LeBleu, that's his third fumble loss to the game. That's a really rough day for a running back. And the steam was kind of, the starch was out of us at that point. They were able to control the ball just by running it, eat up the rest of the clock. No more points were on the board, but that's the story. The 7 turnovers, the timing and location, as you said, they all directly led to TLU points or took points off the board for us. And when we had that chance to make it 28-14 at the beginning of the fourth quarter, we fumbled it, and they took it down and put the nail in the coffin. So congratulations to them in that they took advantage of it. But I feel like we got out of the way a lot, and I'd like to see us not get out of the way so much. We need to make teams work harder if they're going to beat us.
Yeah, you could just kind of feel it on that fumble into the end zone. It just felt like, oh man, what else can go wrong? It was just one of those full moon kind of nights, and that would have made. You don't know if you're going to come back and win the game, but we talked about it a little bit after coming back from such a big deficit in week number 1. You're 28-14. You've got the momentum. You're thinking, okay, here we go. We're going to settle down and play football, and you just never really got the chance to do that.
Right, and I will say there were other opportunities. We all look at what you call like a pivotal moment in the game.
Right.
And I believe that those happen. But if the turnovers in the first half don't happen, the 4 interceptions by the quarterbacks in the first half, things are totally different. So you can't just look at that one play. Sure, that would have still gotten us back into it despite the 4 first-half interceptions. But the 4 first-half interceptions and that first fumble, the 5 first-half turnovers is a tough way to go through the first half. You're digging yourself quite a hole. And that would have been a good way to start to, get towards the top of digging yourself out. Maybe you can see over the lip of the hole. But we didn't make it happen.
Time of possession was nearly 2-1 in their favor. They ran 76 plays to the Pirates 51. I'm guessing that is why, because they had the ball so many times because of all the turnovers and that kind of thing, which is hard to do on a normal night, but when it's hot and muggy and that kind of thing, that's got to make it even tougher on everybody. I don't care how good the conditioning is.
We left our defense out there a lot. And we put them out there in the first half so many times in a row. Mm-hmm. Interception, touchdown. Fumbled kick return, touchdown. Interception, touchdown. They just had to go back, and they had to go back, and they had to go back. It's a tough situation to put your defense in. You're asking a lot to ask them to make all those stops. It just was a tough situation that we put our defense in, and we have to not do that as a special teams unit and as an offensive unit. We can't put our defense in that position.
Well, it's always easy to be down after a tough loss like that, but there had to be some sort of silver linings. Are there any positive takeaways that you saw that you can build off of going into these next 8 games or so?
Well, it's an opportunity to get together as we did as a team and say, what are we going to do from here? Mm-hmm. Are we going to become more accurate as a football team? Who do we want to be? Since we came back from COVID, as an offensive football team, we have turned the ball over way, way, way too much. At the same time, as a defensive football team, we've hardly taken the ball away at all. Turnovers are a huge thing in football, and we have to find a way to flip our turnover margin. If we do nothing else, if we don't improve our skills at all, we have to find a way to be more accurate in taking care of the football and find some ways to take the football away. We're -9 in turnovers our first 2 games.
Ooh.
It's rough. Our special teams, we've created 1 and given up 2. Offensively, we've given away 8 and we've taken away 0. And we haven't been close to getting 1 on defense. That's a bad formula. That has to get fixed. So silver linings, I don't know, but lines in the sand, probably. I mean, we can't play like that and be successful. That absolutely has to get addressed by our football team and our coaching staff, and we've got to find ways to have different results in the turnovers.
Well, that's pretty much all I've got on game number 2. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, that's good. We're done.
Flush it and move on, right? All right, we will do just
Roll
that.
those sponsors. Let's go.
We'll take a break and be back for quarter number 2. We'll have a sophomore defensive tackle, Jalen Levine, up here with us. This is SU Football Weekly on the Vype Live Network. Back to quarter number 2 of SU Football Weekly here in the Vype Live Network. Merle Bertrand here with you. Coach said to play the sponsors, so I'll run the sponsors again, some more that we have here. We're live at the Jack's Lounge in the beautiful Georgetown Sheridan. John F. Lewis CPA, Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Minuteman Press, Primerica Financial Solutions, Rudy's Barbecue, and George Schlotsky's of Georgetown. And apparently I've got a visitor that's going to come into the set here. Gotta love that. We're joined now by sophomore defensive tackle Jalen Levine. Jalen, introduce yourself, tell the folks where you're from, all that kind of stuff.
Hello, my name is Jalen Levine. I'm from Houston, Texas, school, North Shore Senior High School, and I'm just glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, my wife, my better half, she's monitoring our broadcast tonight. She went to North Shore for 3 years, so she was very thrilled to have a fellow North Shore player on the show tonight. So what attracted you to Southwestern?
The thing that attracted me to Southwestern is the brotherhood, the family, the environment. I come from a school where we honor brotherhood. We honor having everyone together, having everyone as a collective group. And as I came on a visit, I've seen how inviting everybody was, how loving everyone was, how everyone was able to communicate with me, and the coaching. The coaches gave an opportunity to me, gave an opportunity to allow me to continue my career, and I'm very much appreciative of that. So thank y'all.
Well, North Shore is a massive 6A program. You've got teammates now from high schools of, you were part of the 2021 6A state championship team. North Shore, a perennial state power. Did you adjust your mindset at all, coming from a gigantic high school like that, that's a perennial state power, to still a relatively new program here at Southwestern where you're trying to build something still from the ground up? How did that affect your mindset coming in?
I would say it's an adjustment because it comes from a bigger area like Houston to a smaller area in Georgetown, but it's just having people around me that are willing to talk to me, communicate with me, give me the information I need to help me grow as an athlete, as a student, altogether, just a loving environment, just people who are willing to interact with me and give me the opportunity to expand myself and grow.
And I'm guessing it's a little bit different, like you said, coming from a big public school like that in Houston. You come to a university like this where you've got guys from big schools, small schools, urban, rural, public schools, private schools. Talk about that a little bit. You kind of compare notes and share experiences and that kind of thing some?
Sometimes, yes. I have a couple people that are from the Houston area, like Rhino and Zach and some people that I could relate to, and also have people that are from smaller areas or from other areas outside of Texas. Right. So having those people I can communicate with, share experiences, make a couple of jokes about schools, just having fun, just interact with people, getting to know some people, just so we can have interactions outside.
Well, that was kind of my next question. I was going to ask you if you ever talked to smack to any of your new teammates that were maybe rivals in high school.
Recently, yes.
Well, now you can't leave these folks hanging. You got to explain that if you can.
So North Shore just recently played Westfield, right. And I have a teammate named Shazar that we interact about it. It's a little rivalry in Houston that we have too, but it's good to have those people that you could just have those interactions with, have fun with. Just, create loving environment, even if it's out of, jokes and entertainment and people's expense. But it's just a way just to have people around. Right.
Well, yeah, I saw that you were a member of the National Honor Society in high school. Talk about the challenges of balancing academics with being a collegiate athlete. We talk about, ask that question to almost all the guys that come up here because it's such a challenging academic school. Talk about that a little bit, having to get used to really becoming a student athlete at the collegiate level.
Yes, that is a very difficult task to ask of any student to be part of an honor society, let alone a student athlete. So just the ability to be able to balance the agony of football, the grit and grind of football, just the overall feel of football, and then have to turn that switch off and then turn on the switch of, now I got to get into the books. Now I got to get my assignments done. Now I got to get everything turned in at a certain time. It's a very hard task, but just having the dedication and the focus and the drive to put both of them in different categories and then, excel in both of them in their time frames they need. So that's the best way I can put it as, just put them in baskets, excel in them, and allow them to grow.
Well, since you've got so much time to goof off and that kind of thing here, what are some of the things that you like to do when you're not practicing football? When you're not in class and you're doing homework, what are some of the things that you do just to kind of unwind a little bit?
Usually I'll play the game on occasions. I have a PlayStation in my room. I will hang out with a couple people. Shout out to Rhino. I'll have fun with him and Zach and people in my area. Just like to be social. And when I'm not social, I'm in my bed doing work. I'm simple. I'm very simple as a person. I just want to make sure I'm good. Everyone else around me is good. But just in general, I like to just have fun when I need to have fun.
Jalen Levine, our guest here, sophomore for the Pirates. You played in 8 games as a freshman last year. You're seeing more playing time this year, obviously. What's the biggest difference for you between your first and your second year, having that year of experience to fall back on and draw from?
I would say it's the challenge of growing from last year. Last year, I did have 8 games, but I had 8 games behind Nick Hackett, which was a great teacher. Nick Hackett generally helped me adjust to being a defensive tackle at the next level. He was willing to teach me. He was willing to talk to me. He was willing to give me the guidance I needed. And now I'm trying to relay the information I have now on the newcoming people. So, all of us can grow together, D-tackle growing. But another challenge, what I'll say is the conditioning. Yes, conditioning is an issue too, but I'm working on it together with, the people around me. People are willing to help me. But overall, I would say the issues are just, adapting to a new environment, and now I'm playing at a higher level and playing at a more faster pace now.
I'd like to ask some of the senior players that come on the show what they would go back in time to tell their younger selves. You're still coming up. You're still in the first half of your collegiate career. You mentioned a guy like Nick Hackett that taught you so much and you learned so much from. Are you kind of filing some of what he told you away for when it's your turn to help out the underclassmen a year or two from now?
Yes, I am. I'm trying my best to help the younger group out because I know, as me being a freshman last year, how difficult it is to make that adjustment from high school to college. It is a very, very difficult jump to make, but with the information I have now and information I'm continuously learning over time, I'll try the best I can to manifest it within myself and then try to give back to the younger group, because all that I could do as a player now is to give, and give, because it's not good for me to take now, because I would never take. Taking it either way is very bad. Do not take as a student athlete, because it doesn't help the team at all. So just giving the information out as much as you can helps everybody in the long run.
What are some of your thoughts on these first 2 games? Obviously, some disappointments, but some good stuff as well. What do you like from what you've seen so far, and what obviously do you want to work on to get better at?
Some things that we as a team have to work on is consistency. That's one thing I can agree on, is we have to consistently work on getting each other better, getting better at what we do, getting better at everything step by step by step. And it comes down to me too. I personally cannot jump off sides. I'm disappointed in myself for that, and I really am mad at myself for jumping off sides. I shouldn't be doing that. I know better. But as a team, including everybody, we just constant improvement. As long as we constantly improve week by week, day by day, snap by snap, we will consistently get better and better and better, and eventually those losses will turn into W's. And just by consistently working at it and chopping down the wood, we're going to be there eventually.
It was kind of interesting you mentioned the offsides. I mean, how hard is that? You're you're so tense. You're so like a rubber band ready to snap, and you got some guy across the way from you trying to throw it, trying to get you to jump offsides. How do you prevent yourself from doing it? What's the discipline involved there?
The discipline is, shout out to Coach Carr. Coach Carr has taken a lot of work into us. He took a period just, with the ball, working on snaps, and then we just have to pay attention to the ball and make sure the ball doesn't move. And the moment it moves, that's when we go off. So consistently working at, controlling that anticipation, controlling that want to, because it is very hard sometimes.
Sure.
Because, we have a will to want to go, but having that discipline to not jump off sides and go when the ball is actually gone is very important for us, and we need to work on that. That's coming from me, and I need to work on that too.
Well, you're early in your second season here and second year as a student at Southwestern. What's your favorite moment so far? Hopefully there'll be some other good ones down the road, but what's your favorite moment so far here, either on the field or off the field?
Some of my favorite moments so far has to be, well, Rhino is a very funny guy. Rhino is hilarious.
He's putting pressure on you now. You know that, right?
Rhino is a hilarious guy. So, but overall, we do have a lot of moments where we just have fun, enjoy our time. We have a couple of little games we have after, long practice in fall camp. So we do have a couple of funny moments where, we just unwind, enjoy each other, enjoy our brotherhood. The games we have, like Coach Kriesel, as Steve Harvey for Family Feud, Coach Carr running trivia.
We've got to get some video of this because somebody mentioned that last week. So we've got to get some video of this.
But just as a brotherhood, we do have fun. We do try to connect with each other because us being together as a family generally makes us better as a team because, we can rely on each other.
Well, last question for you. I noticed that you're majoring in psychology and minoring in sociology. That sounds to me like somebody who knows what they want to do with their life when you get out of college. Is that the case? What's your plans?
I would say I'm taking this semester to generally deepen myself within psychology and sociology. So I'm taking this time to know what I want and then dedicate myself to it right now. So I don't have a full plan right now, but I am working my hardest to try to decipher everything and then pick and choose what I want for the future of my career because that's going to determine what I do, how I feel doing it, and what I want to do after.
Well, awesome stuff. Any shout-outs you want to give? Anybody you want to say hi to out there?
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. Hey, Peony. Hey, my mom. Shout out to Rhino. Shout out to my entire D-line. Shout out to Zach. Shout out to everybody, really. Thank you all for being here, honestly. Thank you for putting your trust in me, putting your love in me, and I'm glad that I'm here. Thank you.
Glad to have you here, too. Hang tight for just a second. Good luck, and good luck the rest of the season. Sophomore defensive tackle Jalen Levine, our guest here in quarter number 2. We'll take a break. When we come back, it'll be Creasy's Corner. He's going to sit down and talk with senior linebacker Alec Gomez, a familiar name to all the Southwestern fans. We'll take a break and be right back. You're watching SU Football Weekly on the Vype Live Network.
welcome back to SU Football Weekly here at the Sheraton Austin Georgetown Austin Hotel and Conference Center. Joining me is Alec Gomez. How are you doing, Alec?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Alec is one of the players. Of course, if you watch the broadcast, you know I'm a sideline reporter, and Alec is one of the players that greets me every Saturday, and he's always got this just game face on. He's a little scary, but he always comes up and he's polite and he says hello, and I appreciate that because sometimes I feel a little bit out of place down there. There's a lot of big players down there, so. I did try to do a little bit of research on you, Alec. You've done a pretty good job of staying off the grid in terms of the internet.
Yes, sir.
But I did find a little bit, and we'll start with the SU website, which can be a little iffy at times. It depends on what information was delineated to them. So, but according to the website, you were a 4-year letterman in high school in football.
Yes, sir.
And a 3-year letterman in basketball.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty impressive to play both of those sports back to back and letter.
It was
in
tiring.
most of your high school.
Very tiring.
So you just stick with football now mainly, right?
Yeah,
but
yes,
do,
sir.
Do you and the guys in the off season ever get out there and you show them your skills on the court?
Most definitely. We love being on the blacktop.
So what did you play on the basketball court?
I was actually a point guard. Yeah, I got to be able to look flashy and move good. So
you're pretty tall for a point guard. So do you have any post up moves?
Oh, most definitely. I used to get in the paint with them
and
a
you
few
hit
times.
The threes.
Just occasionally.
Okay, but you're distributing the ball, and and honestly, a point guard's kind of like a quarterback, which is also kind of like the position you play, which is middle linebacker, right?
Yes, sir.
So you've been roaming that middle of the Southwestern University defense for several years now.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen quite a few good hits from you. How does that feel to be out there and kind of controlling what's going on, especially near the line of scrimmage?
It feels great. Definitely with the people I'm out there playing with. It's always fun. It's a great time. To be able to hit somebody and not get in trouble is always amazing. So, it's a great feeling to be out there and play football.
Right, and in the games, even in the games, sometimes you can get in a little bit of trouble,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like
just a little
that
bit.
happened in the game last week. But that's just one of those things. You got to make the tackle right. Sometimes your arm gets to the wrong place. So,
Yes, sir.
But you went to Valley View High School, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about your high school experience and what was it that drew you to Southwestern University?
So my high school experience was 2 high schools. I went to Mission High School for, I want to say 3 years, freshman, sophomore, junior year. Transferred my senior year to Valley View. That was a fun time. Southwestern was one of the schools that allowed me to play with my twin brother. I have a twin brother on the team. He's our quarterback. So it was just being able to continue my dream to keep playing with my brother on the team. So.
Well, and I was going to ask you a little bit about that relationship here in a moment. But before we do that, let's talk about South Texas. People talk, and we talked to Mr. Levine previously. He's from big area in Houston,
Yes,
big
sir.
school, and you have that in Dallas, and sometimes Austin gets a little credit, San Antonio. But you don't hear as much about South Texas, but there's some good football down there in South
most
Texas, and there's a little bit of a recruiting pipeline here to Southwestern University. So talk about that football, that brand of football down in South Texas. One of them came up and beat the high school that I do play-by-play for this past weekend. Del Rio came up and beat Leander.
Oh, yeah. So Southwestern found the secret. It's the Valley. This is where all the athletes are at. We're nice and hidden, but we like to play football. We know what we want to do, and we don't shy away from anything. So it's the stamp we'd like to leave.
Well, and that also, besides the athletic aspect of that also positively shines light on the South Texas in terms of the intelligence factor of the athletes that come out of there, because as Merle mentioned and asked Jalen earlier, this is not an easy school to attend. So how do you manage academics and athletics here at Southwestern?
Well, definitely the high schools I grew up in, they did a great job of showing me what college was going to look like. So I guess it really prepared me. I come from a home where my mom is a counselor. She's a head counselor at the high school that I went to. So it was always enforced for me to you either get A's or you don't play. So you have to pass.
So that's a really good motivator for a lot of people that love the sport, right? If you're not making the grades, I'm not going to let you play. and
right.
she's right there in the front office, so she's probably
Yep.
got access to the principal, the assistant principal, and everybody else.
Mama had all the achievements. She knew everything that was going on.
So you couldn't get away with anything.
No,
then.
sir.
Well, and as Jalen and Merle talked about, and we're going to talk about, football famously, the teams call their teammates brothers. And you mentioned it already. You have an actual brother on the team besides your Southwestern brothers. Talk about what it's like to grow up to be a twin.
It's fun. It's very fun. You get to do a lot of fun stuff with your twin. You have somebody next to you the entire time. I've never had to do anything alone. This summer was probably the first time we separated with each other. He went to South Africa and I went to Indonesia on internships. So that's the first time we've actually been away from each other. But growing up with a twin is like having a best friend with you the entire time. So it's fun.
Did you get in any trouble? Did y'all switch roles at any point in life?
It was
with
always
girls on a date.
It was always Mama's fault. She dresses the same growing up, so she set us up to play around with people. So.
Well, my brother's 16 months younger than me, and my mom did that to us. So you don't even have to be a twin to have that.
Well, then there you go.
So what is it like attending college with Damien? Are you in the same classes?
We mostly do have the same classes. It's like having a personal secretary, I like to call it. He keeps me on check. I keep him on check. We're on top of each other. We hold each other accountable. So it's just great having my twin with me at all times.
So why don't you talk a little bit about the internship you just mentioned in Indonesia? That's a very interesting locale to go do an internship.
Yes.
Most people look for an internship in the city that they're attending college.
I was pretty bored in the summer, so I decided we both decided to do a trip to international waters. He chose South Africa, and actually he went with one of our other teammates on the team, PV, that already graduated. And then I decided to go on by myself. I did hotel management in Bali, Indonesia. Shout out to La Grande Hotel. It was a fun time. So, yeah, I did that for 2 months, and it was a great experience.
So, in hotel management, I noticed you're a business major. Is that something you're looking to get into?
One of the things, it could be fun. So, it was a fun experience.
We're in a pretty nice hotel here in Georgetown.
Yes, sir, we are.
Back to your brother. Do you ever get to hit him in practice? I know you talked about getting to hit people without getting in trouble.
There's one rule I have. No one can hit my brother but me, so I can hit him.
Okay, so the coaches don't get mad at you?
No, they don't.
They don't? Okay. Well, and that's, that really, there's an example of the kinship that you have with Damien. It was last season, and I can't remember which game it was, but he went down on a play. And Coach Austin is always the first guy out there when one of his players is injured. But when I looked up, it was Alec Gomez from the sideline that was out there checking on his brother. Talk about that a little bit. Well, do you remember that?
Yeah, Damien's little brother, so Damien's always going to be my little brother. I'm always going to take care of him. He's always going to be my little brother to me, so it's just knowing if he's on the floor, I'm going to be the first one to check up on him. And if he's ready to go, then I'm ready to go. So.
That's a really cool thing, and it's, the reason I asked you about those is not because it's obvious you have a twin on the team, but that really interests me that you have that kind of relationship, and I think it's really cool. Now, I always ask this question of all the players. You obviously have demonstrated that you love the sport. You've said it, and we've seen it. Are you going to continue to try to participate in football in one way or another throughout life? How are you plan on doing that?
Well, there's still a lot of options now. You have the new league coming in Mexico that's actually making noise, so that's one option for me. There's
even a guy from Mexico in the NFL now.
Yes, sir, there is. I have friends that are playing in the Canadian League right now as we speak, so that's always an option. So it's just continuing to find a way to continue to play football is what I want to do.
So you would like to continue to play beyond your senior year. That's awesome.
If I can go get a master's at a D1 school as well and play football, I can.
Well, and we've seen players do that as well, leave Southwestern to go to graduate programs at other schools.
Yes, sir.
So that is a very real possibility for you. So, and I began asking this last week, but in history or just anywhere, dead or alive, who would you like to have lunch with and a conversation with?
Dead or alive?
Yeah,
Okay.
so anyone from history or current, they could be alive, someone now, or it could be someone in history that you would like to just have a few minutes to ask questions.
Ray Charles.
Any reason why? You're a big musician?
He's blind and he can play like a crazy man.
Are you a musician as well?
I'm not, but I love to hear music.
But you just love music? Is that your favorite kind of music?
Ray Charles is one of my favorite songs. Georgia, that's one of my favorite songs. So it's a good song.
So is that your style of music? A little
It's
R&B,
one of
a
them.
little country
One of them.
flavor to it?
It's one of them,
Okay.
know.
What else do you listen to?
I like to keep it spicy.
do you like rap music? Like
I really don't listen to rap music. I keep it more on my cultural side. I like to listen to my
some Tejano.
Yeah, my cumbia music, my corridos, Peso Pluma. I like to keep it that way.
Do you go dancing?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm a big country dancer too.
Are you?
I love
You're
country
two-stepping
dancing.
it out there. I'm stepping on people's toes when I do that. Okay, so what is your favorite Southwestern experience so far?
So far, it's gonna have to be this year. Coach Kriesel, Gramps, I call him Gramps.
He's starting to look that way. Isn't he?
Yeah, he dressed
I'm
up
just
as
kidding, Coach.
dressed up as Steve Harvey for the Family Feud. That was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen Coach Kriesel in a set of slacks or in a dressy shirt, so that was nice.
So next time that occurs, one of the coaches needs to tip off someone, Merle, so that we can get a camera out there. Do your tattoos have any meaning?
They all do, yeah. It's all. This is actually a tattoo that I got with all my brothers. We all have a Greek god, and we actually made like a bet with my mom that we were all gonna just stay tatted on our left side. So that's why I only have tattoos on my left side of my arm. So
awesome. Do you have any shout outs that you want to send out?
Mom, Dad, love you guys. Brother, twin, sister, little Lisa's go to sleep. It's early, but I know you have school tomorrow, so get to bed.
Is she an athlete too?
It's actually a he. It's Ulises.
Oh.
He's a 2-year-old.
Is he?
He's
I
doing.
guess he's not quite ready.
No,
to be
not
an
yet,
athlete.
but he's gonna be a good one. He's gonna be a good one.
Already tearing stuff up. Huh?
He is.
Well, I just want to say that it's been there's still plenty of season left, but it's been a real positive experience for me. Again, I'll mention again to have someone, a leader on the team, interact with me when I'm down on the sidelines, because
Sure.
at times you can feel a little bit out of place because there's so much chaos going on.
I gotta start my Saturday off right. I gotta go say hi to you.
I appreciate that, Alec. And I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We'll be right back for quarter 4 of SU Football Weekly here at the Sheraton Georgetown Austin Hotel and Conference Center. Stay with us.
And welcome back for quarter number 4 of SU Football Weekly here on the Vype Live Network. I'm joined once again by head coach Joe Austin. And, Coach, I will take a still picture of Coach Kriesel dressed up as Steve Harvey. That's the third reference to that now, so that must be pretty amazing stuff.
It's pretty funny, and it's a little bit out of Coach Kriesel's comfort zone, which is great. Great for him, great for the team. It was really, really funny. The guys had a blast doing that during training camp. It was good. But it's private. So you got to be part of that brotherhood to get that experience.
Well, that just means everybody's imaginations are going to run wild.
Sure.
So there you go. Before we go, I want to thank the rest of our sponsors. We're Brixton Ale at the Sheraton, Stephanie Featherstone with State Farm, Georgetown Shirt Company, HEB of Georgetown, House of Gains, Ross and Champion CPA, GTX Wealth, Jersey Mike Subs, and the Lead Kitchen and Tavern. Thanks to all the sponsors for making it possible to bring in the broadcast, and as well as SU Football Weekly here on Vype. The Pirates will travel to Conway, Arkansas on Saturday to play the first game as a member of the Southern Athletic Association against Hendrix College. And the Pirates have actually played the Warriors there before, way back in 2013 when you brought a team of all freshmen up there. And they fell 48-29, but it was actually 21-16 heading into the fourth quarter. Pretty impressive outing for that young group of young men. So much has changed since that first year. What do you remember, if anything, from that first game up there?
Boy, I remember a lot. I remember quite a bit of it. So it was, it was an all-freshman team. They hung in there. Hendrix had some really impactful transfers that pulled away from us late, but it was a pretty good outing for a team that had 91 freshmen and 1 sophomore.
Right, yeah. Nick Massey, the only sophomore. We talked about that last week. I remember the rain coming home. I don't know if you guys got caught up in that, but it was the hardest rainstorm and the longest rainstorm I think I've ever driven in my life. It was impressive. So hopefully you guys had a better trip back than we did.
I think we left a little bit later, so I think we missed a little bit of that.
Well, fast forward here to 2023. The Warriors are also 0-2 and looking for their first win. They fell 44-27 versus Washington University in St. Louis to open the season. Lost 38-37 at ETBU last week. So close, and we know how hard it is to win there in Marshall. What can you tell us about the Hendrix Warriors, the 2023 edition?
They've played 2 good teams. Washington University is in the national rankings, so it's a very quality opponent. And ETBU, we know how tough those guys are.
Yep.
So last week they had a 31-7 lead at ETBU and let that dwindle away. So I know they were disappointed in that. Tough place to win, tough place to finish it out. They've had some of the same issues that we've had with turnovers. In addition to turnovers, they've given up some sacks that have hurt their rushing totals. But they're a pass-first football team. They're averaging 427 yards a game, I think, passing.
Yep.
They're going to throw it a million times. They're going to try to play with some tempo and go fast. And so hopefully we can do what some of the other teams have done. Both teams they played and force some turnovers, create some sacks, limit the run game, and really make them have to piece together drives. They're not throwing it down. They'll throw it down the field, but they're not bombing it 55 times a game. They're trying to be really accurate and consistent, throwing underneath, throwing screens, hitting intermediate passes. And the more we can be able to put some pressure on, stop the run, maybe get some sacks and some interceptions will go a long way to help us. And defensively, they've seen 2 different styles of offense. So I think our information is a little bit more limited on what we know about them defensively, just having seen 2 different styles that aren't quite like our style. But I think we'll be ready and put together a good game plan. Offensively, as we talked about in the first segment, we've got to hang on to the football to give ourselves a chance. And this is a game where you can't keep throwing your defense out there and create extra possessions because they're going to do a lot of running.
Right.
And when you're chasing down pass plays all the time, you're doing a lot of running, and they're going to snap the ball quickly sometimes so you don't have recovery between plays. It's really imperative that our offense is accurate with what they do and consistent with what they do.
Well, you touched on it. 427 yards per game through the air, only 16 yards on the ground through the first 2 games. I thought that was a typo, but I double-checked it. How hard is it, or is it easier to prepare for a team that is sort of, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but they have such a heavy emphasis on one side of the ball?
Well, there's factors in that. They've been sacked 8 times, and they had to play 2 really good defensive lines. ETBU's defensive line is one of the best in Division III. So they were able to sack them, I think, 4 times. They were able to limit their run game quite a bit. So that's a little bit misleading. They're not going to go through the season with that low of statistical production in the running game. But they've gone against 2 quality opponents. two good defensive fronts that have done a good job of limiting them. And hopefully, we can do the same. We always put an emphasis on run defense. We're not giving anything away by saying that. Hopefully we can do the same thing, limit the run game, and then force them to have to put together really long drives within their passing game to get points.
Well, we talked about it on the show last week, a slow start in the CLU game, obviously a slow start this past week. Has there been any emphasis or any talk about starting quicker, starting when you get off the bus, that kind of thing?
Constantly.
Yeah.
We've thought about that. That is something we thought to address. Defensively, we 2 stops to begin with.
Sure, yeah.
And it wasn't until we kept getting our backs against the wall that our defense so I'd say our defense got off to a better start this week than they had the week before. It's offensively that in both games we haven't gotten going in the first quarter. So that will obviously be a good thing. We need to get going. And at the minimum, let's punt the football away and give them a longer field, give our defense just a touch more time to rest. But we need to get some first downs. We need to get in a little bit of a rhythm. We need to get some confidence going. That will be a big thing for us to try to start the game with a lot more consistency on offense.
Well, as I mentioned, this is the first game as part of the SAA. Talk about this conference a minute. The Pirates have actually faced some of these teams in non-conference play, more recently than 2013 even. So talk about the conference a little bit. Who are some of the really quality teams that you guys are going to be facing this year?
It's a very good league. And so people that thought that by leaving the ASC we were going back a lot in competition, it's not true. Trinity is a top 3 team. They just beat Mary Hardin Baylor soundly, 35-16, I think. They lost to St. John's, who's also a top 5 team on the road, because their quarterback got hurt and didn't get to play the overtime, my opinion. That might be very different if their quarterback was able to play the overtime. So they're very, very good. Berry College, if they're not in the rankings now, they're going to be. They're also very, very good. Birmingham Southern started the season in the national rankings. Center College has made 6 playoff appearances over the last 15 years. This is very often, like the ASC, a 2 playoff team conference, where the champion and the runner-up are both so good that they both get to go to that very small 32-team national playoffs. Very, very good football teams.
And just for the record, are the Pirates playoff eligible coming in the first year, or is there always a waiting period? I'm
no,
not sure
absolutely.
How that works.
No, we're eligible. Okay. You only have to wait when you're changing classifications, moving divisions from Division II, Division III, or NAIA to whatever else.
Well, you mentioned it a moment ago. I got to get your thoughts on Trinity beating Mary Hardin Baylor, because people don't beat Mary Hardin Baylor very often, and we know Trinity pretty well. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, the people that write about and follow Division III football think that Mary Hardin Baylor is down a little bit. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't seen that film. I'll see that film, when we get ready to play Trinity. They've just been so stellar. They're bound to have a step back every now and then to reload. But I give Trinity a lot of credit for that. That's a good win no matter what. Mary Hardin Baylor was still in the top 15 at the time. But Mary Hardin Baylor doesn't get any easier. They lost to a top 20 team in Wisconsin River Falls. Then they came back and played Trinity. And this week they play Wisconsin Whitewater, who's also a top 5 team. So that's a tough way to open the season. But they kind of did it to themselves. It's tough to find non-conference opponents when you're running around the world beating everybody up with all your Division I transfers. So it is what it is.
Yeah. One of the blessings and the curse, I guess, of football, college football, pro, NFL, whatever, is you have to wait a week to play. Sometimes you have a 5 or 6 day turnaround, but it's usually a week. And when you've had a loss like you guys have just had, is it where you really can't wait to get back out there again and try to get that taste out of your mouth? Talk about the wait and when you're trying to bounce back from a loss like that.
Well, I think for us, it's just the routine. I don't think you feel anxiousness because it's not going to come. I think it's just familiarity with the process, and you get a week no matter if you played great. You really don't get to capitalize on that momentum like you would in a sport that plays 4, 5, 6 times a week. That's just the pace of our season. It's Saturday, 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 all the way through the year.
Well, any final thoughts here before we let you go and get ready for the road trip up to Arkansas on Saturday?
It's another game that we should be right there in, and it's going to come down to if we can play winning football, take care of the football, create some turnovers, be accurate, show some mastery in our skills. That's what we need to do. Hendricks is good, don't get me wrong, but we can be right there with them, and we can be very competitive in this game. I think right now we're we're going to focus in our preparation as much on cleaning up our things. We're going to look at Hendrix. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean,
Sure.
We're going to practice against what their schemes are. But the beginning part of the week, it's going to be about fixing some things, addressing some issues, so that when we really dive in later in the weekend to being Hendrix specific, that work will be, there'll be more fruition out of that work at the end of the week.
Well, looking forward to it. Hope you guys have a safe trip up there, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks.
All righty. So Pirates versus Hendrix College Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock from Young Wise Memorial Stadium in Conway, Arkansas. If you're not making the trip, you can find the link to watch the Hendrix broadcast on the football schedule at southwesternpirates.com. So we'll be back with you from Jack's Lounge at the Georgetown Sheraton next Monday night here at 6 o'clock. For now, I want to thank, of course, our guests, Jalen Levine and Alec Gomez, our producer, Mr. Jack Farrell. Thank you to Jack, Chuck Crazy, and Crazy's Corner for coming out. Our QA, Christina Weber, our technical director, Suna Vincott, Rita Healy with the Sheraton here in Georgetown, Coach Austin, and everyone who came out to the show tonight, and everybody out there that tuned in either to live or on the replay here on Vype. So have a great week. Safe travels if you're making the trip up to Arkansas, and we will see you 1 week from tonight for SC Football Weekly on Vype. Good night, everybody.
Hi, Mom.
Pirates fight for Old Southwestern, for alma mater dear. Pirates fight for Old Southwestern. To Southwestern will be loyal to the sun from the sky. And remember to the end that a fight will never die. Pirates fight.